नमस्कार, हेल्थ फॉर ऑल के 25वें एपिसोड में आप सबका हृदय से स्वागत है।
And the first session is on yoga for mental peace.
Today's topic is mental health in yoga, and absolutely no mental health conversation can get over without the mention of yoga, because just yoga is the absolute answer. Not absolute, I will say it has to be paired with many other solutions, definitely, but yoga will provide many solutions to you. Normally when we talk about yoga, we'll say for mental health, do meditation. But meditation is very difficult. It takes years of time and practice to be able to meditate well. So today we're going to be looking at various solutions and also meditation towards the end. Now, for a basic understanding, in yoga there are two types of yoga. Okay, there are multiple yoga practices which are around the world, but we're looking at yin yoga and yang yoga. Okay, yin yoga is when the yoga is calming, it is relaxing. आपको योगा करने के बाद मतलब ऐसा लग रहा है कि हाँ स्ट्रेच करा, अच्छा लग रहा है, you are refreshed. Second type of yoga is for strength, stability, flexibility, that is yang yoga. Yoga has three parts: asana, pranayama, meditation. Hip opening asana for the first one. इसका सबसे बेस्ट और आसान सोल्यूशन है वॉकिंग. वॉक के लिए जाइए 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, however long that you can. It is very good for your health. Second will be in hip opening asanas. Let's say you're doing side stretches, or you can be doing lunges. Okay. इसी में आता है अंजनीय आसना. तो आप ये आसना कर सकते हैं जिसमें आपके हिप ओपन हो रहे हैं. Kali asana, if you're sitting down. Yeah, so all of these are going to help you open your hip. And why do we do hip? It's because Mooladhara chakra is one of the chakras. It's the first chakra in your body, which is very important. It is at the bottom. Okay, when you sit down, it is the lowest position of your body. Okay, Mooladhara chakra इसलिए होता है कि आप अगर आपने वो चक्र एक्टिवेट करा, then you're moving towards wanting to do something. आपको ये चाहिए ना कि आपको जिंदगी में चाहिए कि आपको कुछ करना है. Okay, it moves from inertia to mobility. इसलिए अगर आपको मन नहीं कर रहा है काम करने का, you don't know what to do, you are very bored today. Okay, go for a walk. It helps very well. It is because you are activating your Mooladhara chakra when you're walking. Other solutions will be hip opening asanas that I just spoke about. Second set that we're looking at is balancing asana. कोई भी आसना जिसमें आप बैलेंस कर रहे हैं, जैसे एक पैर पे बैलेंस करो, वृक्षासना, आपने हाथ सामने जोड़ लिए, हाथ ऊपर जोड़ लिए. दिस इज वन ऑफ द इजियर बैलेंसिंग आसना. अगर आप इतना ऊपर भी नहीं कर पा रहे, यू कैन स्टैंड नियर अ वॉल, टेक सपोर्ट. जितना पैर ऊपर हो रहा है उतना, then you slowly try to move your hands away. जितना हो रहा है उतना. Moving on to third, we're going to be looking at inversion. Okay, inversion क्या होता है? सर नीचे. Okay, ideally handstand, headstand, but these are very difficult. आपको बहुत दिनों की, महीनों की प्रैक्टिस लगती है इसके लिए. So very simple inversion where blood is flowing to your head will be bend down, touch your feet. Stay for some time. Yeah, otherwise you can spread your legs, bend down. All you have to do is move your head to the ground. So इसमें you can even do mountain pose when you're doing this. Even mountain pose is going to help because blood is flowing to your head.
और अब वक्त है हमारे खास सेगमेंट योर हेल्थ काउंटर का. आज का टॉपिक है मेंटल हेल्थ इन पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ कोविड-19 एंड देयर आफ्टर, जिस पर बात करेंगे देश के जाने माने मेंटल हेल्थ विशेषज्ञ डॉक्टर निमेश देसाई. निमेश देसाई का नाम मेंटल हेल्थ केयर के पर्यायवाची के रूप में लिया जाता है। कहीं भी मेंटल हेल्थ केयर का जिक्र हो और डॉक्टर निमेश देसाई का नाम ना आए, ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता। डॉक्टर देसाई का इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ ह्यूमन बिहेवियर एंड अलाइड साइंसेस दिल्ली से संबंध है। वहाँ वो डायरेक्टर हैं संस्थान के, और संस्थान के विकास में बड़ा योगदान है इनका। इस संस्थान को नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस का संस्थान बनाने का क्रेडिट डॉक्टर देसाई को भी जाता है, जहाँ उन्होंने 11 साल से अपनी सेवाएं दी है, हेड ऑफ साइकियाट्री डिपार्टमेंट के रूप में और मेडिकल सुपरिटेंडेंट के रूप में भी। हम डॉक्टर निमेश देसाई का अपने शो में स्वागत करते हैं। डॉक्टर साहब, डॉक्टर निमेश देसाई से विस्तार से बातचीत करेंगे मिस्टर आर शंकर। मिस्टर शंकर हील फाउंडेशन के प्रेसिडेंट हैं। वह हील फाउंडेशन ऑर्गेनाइजिंग कमेटी के हेल्थ राइटर्स और एडिटर कन्वेंशन के चेयरमैन भी हैं। मिस्टर शंकर का जर्नलिज्म में 30 साल से भी ज़्यादा समय का अनुभव है। अब तक वो 200 से ज़्यादा हेल्थ राइटर्स वर्कशॉप और 7 नेशनल हेल्थ राइटर्स एंड एडिटर्स कन्वेंशन का आयोजन कर चुके हैं।
What were the mental issues seen during the COVID in probably various segments like vulnerable population, including healthcare providers, COVID survivors, disabled and older adults, children and adolescents? I'll start with vulnerable population, including healthcare providers.
Shankarji, primarily, I would divide it this way. It's now 2 years that we have finished the epidemic, 2 years duration. In the first year, 2020, it was more of anxiety, fear, dread of the unknown, of the infection, of what might happen, and a few experiences of people going through, including healthcare professionals and other frontline workers. I will include, लगते हैं मुझे एक चीज अक्सर सूझती है कि फ्रंटलाइन वर्कर्स में डॉक्टर्स, नर्सेज, हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल्स को इंक्लूड कर लिया जाता है, and so do the police and the law enforcement people. But we often forget at many levels that media professionals, especially photojournalists and field reporters, have actually had a lot of trauma of the epidemic. And they kept the information going for all of us through their work. But all of these frontline workers, in 2020, it was more about the fear, not knowing what will happen, and also the reasonably satisfying experience of growing with science. I somehow, by nature and by conviction, refuse to look at only the negative of any experience for myself or for humanity. And so while in 2020, there was a lot of fear, anxiety, and all stuff, a lot of people, law enforcement people, doctors and nurses, and media professionals in their own field were learning how to develop science, how to implement good scientific practices, and how to disseminate scientific information to the general population so that the epidemic gets controlled. So that was a very exciting experience in that sense. 2021 was bad. I must say I corrected myself because I used to believe, based on past experiences in the world and in this country, that our populations will generally deal with it well और ज़्यादा depression और ऐसा असर होगा नहीं. लेकिन second wave ने जो तबाही मचाई, the mayhem that the second wave caused definitely led to a lot of trauma, depression cases being on the rise, suicide attempts and completed suicide being on the rise, and a whole lot of other mental health problems.
We now move on to session 3.
क्या मेंटल हेल्थ रिलेटेड जो प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं, खासकर डिप्रेशन, इनका परमानेंट क्योर संभव है क्या?
देखिए, there cannot be a one line answer for this thing. Permanent solution का सवाल ही नहीं आता. Even life is not permanent. It is the interplay of the, your personality, your genetic formulations, as well as the stress factors, your ambitions, your achievements, all those things. So at all the stages, and even in the history, if you see, this is there. So cases are there where there is a genetic loading, and if that is so, that is a different thing. There cannot be a permanent solution. But all the conflicts and all the stresses, if they are properly resolved, yes, practically it may lead to a relief, and a better relief for a long time. And that can be called as a permanent relief. The antidepressant therapy which has come, there are various models. Because so it is now half a century I am in psychiatry. And when I joined psychiatry, we could not imagine many things. Even the treatment of Alzheimer's were not there, and even depression, etc. And only ECT was the one treatment and few drugs. Now we have got so many drugs to suit every kind of patients, which provide the relief. And if you are experienced enough, yes, you can definitely give them. And assurance is there. The permanent relief is not there. Say for example, blood pressure, all the routine things, thyroid, etc. We have to continuously give the medication. So same way, after the acute, the active stage subsides, then the maintenance therapy starts. And maintenance therapy means only, less than 50% of the original medications. And that they continue, then it is practically amounts to permanent relief.
This year's World Bipolar Day theme is Bipolar Together. The International Bipolar Foundation states that a recent survey found that 77% of Bipolar 1 participants said living with disorder made them feel isolated or alone. And 81% said they felt like no one understands what they're going through. Your comments?
Sure. Yeah, I think with most chronic mental health disorders, patients eventually face these issues. One, because of the sort of social impact, for example, loss of jobs with episodes, gradually also loss of friends, loss of connections. So this is definitely an impact in whether it's bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, any chronic mental illness. This risk is always there, and this isolation leads to a lot of secondary depressive symptoms as well, and also increases risk of suicide. I think I'd like to add here about the great work that Bipolar India is doing. Disclaimer being, I'm on the trust board of this organization, but the kind of work they're doing is unique because there is no real pure support group for bipolar disorders in India, and they run this out of Andheri. So it was started by a patient and is continued by him, and now it's developed into a full-blown organization, which is also registered as an NGO now. And so they have a support group that meets every 2 weeks. And of course, in the pandemic, they were doing it online, but now they've started meeting physically again. And the kind of impact that meeting people who have suffered and are doing very well gives to those who are struggling with the early phases of bipolar disorder is amazing. They absolutely start believing again that they are capable of working again and leading absolutely successful lives.
चिल्ड्रन में बाइपोलर डिसऑर्डर की क्या स्थिति हमारे देश में, क्या कोई स्टडी हुई है?
ये चिल्ड्रन में बाइपोलर डिसऑर्डर की बहुत ज्यादा स्टडीज नहीं है, बट 2 की स्टडीज है, एक 98 में हुई है और 2004 में हुई है। और दोनों स्टडीज में ये पाया गया है कि बच्चों में जो बाइपोलर डिसऑर्डर होता है उसकी रिस्पांस बहुत अच्छी होती है मेडिसिन देने पे, कि जिस सिम्टम्स या जिस प्रॉब्लम्स के साथ वो आते हैं डॉक्टर के पास, वो बहुत अच्छी तरह से रिस्पॉन्ड कर जाते हैं। बट ये होता है कि उस मेडिसिन को चलाते हुए भी उनको कुछ ना कुछ रिलैप्सेस आने की संभावना होती है। तो इससे हमको ये केयरफुल रहना पड़ता है कि आगे इसको रिलैप्स न हो, इसीलिए इसका फॉलो अप और इसको ज्यादा ध्यान देना पड़ता है, क्योंकि अगर ये रिलैप्स होता जाएगा तो जैसे मैंने पहले बोला कि इनकी पर्सनालिटी और साइकोलॉजिकल और फिजिकल डेवलपमेंट में भी नेगेटिव इफेक्ट हो सकता है। तो ये 2 की स्टडीज है यहाँ पे।
When children come in with certain things, parents don't actually recognize that it is a bipolar disorder, and generally there is a thin line between hyperactivity, between misbehavior, between throwing tantrums and bipolar. So how do you actually distinguish all this?
Symptomatically, it's very different. Symptoms of ADHD and mania, although they can feel similar, but bipolar disorder, like everyone's been talking about, is primarily a mood disorder. So your mood will be affected. So you'd have to speak to the parents in your clinical interview, speak to the do an observational interview with the child, symptoms of ADHD would more be that they're not able to sit in one place. They would be either inattention or hyperactivity, which is kind of different from symptoms of mood, which is that mania would always go along with depressive symptoms as well. So you'd have to speak to the parents to understand if there are episodes where the child feels depressed, there are episodes where the mood feels elated. So the symptomatic presentation would be different.